Hey everybody, it's Stitch1993, and this is another video counting down till the Switch 2's release date, which, as the recording of this video, is June 5th. Now, yesterday I talked about the most surprising games that got released on the Switch, either by franchises I thought that were dead and never going to get a sequel, or games that I just didn't think we were ever going to get a sequel in general. So definitely check that video out. But today, we're going to talk about the flip side of that coin, which is the Nintendo franchises that never made it to the Nintendo Switch. Now, full disclosure, this video is being recorded on April 14th, 2025. Now, we have had the direct that did show we are still getting games as far into the future as 2026. So this, could change at any moment. Fingers crossing for some of these. So what I count as a franchise is any series that has gotten at least 3 games. If it's just gotten 1 or 2, I'm not really counting it. So stuff like, even though I love it, I'm not counting Star Tropics because we just got the 2 games. But I am counting stuff like Kid Icarus because we do have the NES game, the Game Boy game, and the 3DS game. So yeah, I'll just start from, and I've been keeping a list of this since about 2019 or so is when I just started noticing that the Switch was getting a lot of Nintendo franchises. And that's when we started, slowly getting the ones that I just didn't think were going to make it over to the Switch. And it just, even, just a couple weeks ago, we got announced that Tamagotchi Life, which is, this would only be considered, I think, the second game, maybe the third, at least in the US, it's the second game. And then Rhythm Heaven, which this would be considered the 4th game because the original was on Game Boy Advance, but that never came out in the US. Then we got the DS and the Wii, 3DS, and then it skipped and then now we're going to get next year the Switch. So yeah, so I might not mention some franchises just because I'm not aware of them. They might be a little too niche, but yeah. All right. So starting off, the first main one is Star Fox. The last game we got, let me start. First game we got was on the SNES. Last game we got technically was on the Wii U with Star Fox Zero, and then also bundled with Star Fox Guard. I don't count the game by Ubisoft that did feature Star Fox in the Switch edition because it was just, just his ship and just like a little side stories, kind of like DLC basically, in a way. And it wasn't called Star Fox. Like if it was like Ubisoft Star Fox, then I definitely want to count it. But no, it's their own game. So yeah, and Star Fox Zero didn't do really well critically or commercially. So, I think it still has a chance? Absolutely. I don't think the Switch has kind of showed Nintendo is never going to let really any franchise die. Like, they'll keep it away. It's like Disney in the vault. They'll keep it in the vault until, they know it's got a bunch of nostalgia for it. And then sometimes they'll do like a budget release and then they'll go all in with a big game. Or you never know. Just, June could come along and all of a sudden we get Star Fox Assault 2 or something like that. You never know. I did find it interesting that when they showed off the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube games, neither of the Star Fox games were shown, but we did get FZero GX, surprisingly. And we'll get to that one in a bit there. So yeah, Star Fox just has not officially shown up on the Switch yet. And now we're moving on to Mario Baseball. So surprisingly, this is like the only Mario sports game that hasn't gotten one on the Switch. We've gotten golf and tennis, which have pretty much shown up on every Nintendo console since the 64. We got a new Strikers, which that started back on the GameCube, and went on throughout the Wii, skipped the Wii U, of course, and then this is the third. That was the third one on the Switch. But yeah, no baseball. So yeah, it's just kind of surprising, and they were like kind of doing it. I could have sworn like last year or this year was going to be, it could still be the year, but it was like almost like every 2 years was a new sports game. But yeah, and baseball is like my favorite series, so I'm praying that we eventually get a Mario baseball game, and not a port, because I'm like, we got new games for all three of the other sports series. I will want a new one for the Switch. Okay, so we're going to get into a little bit more niche-er. Chibi Robo. So surprisingly, this did show up as one of the games that is going to get a release on the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube for the Switch 2. So I am happy that is getting that attention. Chibi Robo has not had the best time as a series. We get the first game on the GameCube that came out at the butt end of the GameCube era. It came out in 2006. It was literally, just around the corner from the Wii. So by then, I remember seeing, demos of it in stores, but nobody was talking about it. And nobody still really talks about it unless you're talking about the other games in the series. So then we get a Chibi Robo Park Patrol, which is for the DS and is a Walmart exclusive. And again, we don't hear anything about it. I didn't even know this game came out until I'm strolling in Walmart in their clearance section, which during this time was like back in the lawn and garden section there. That was where they had their clearance section. And like there was an entire like display of Chibi Robo Park Patrol games for like $10. I think that it was originally only like 20 or 30. And I picked it up because I love Chibi Robo, and I didn't even know I wasn't subscribed to the Nintendo Power at the time. And I don't think I ever saw an ad for it. And it is interesting because I did, look at for a good bit. I was looking up and down like the DS aisle at Walmart all the time and checking out the demos there. You would think with it being a Walmart exclusive, they would have a demo, or, sometimes they would just have that game as the game to play on display there back when they did that for basically all the consoles. No, yeah. So yeah, and it's pretty fun. I don't know if it's like actually has an ending. I think it's just like a garden simulator that's just kind of endless. Every couple days or so, you can go like into the city and talk with some of the NPC characters that are, similar to the ones from the GameCube game. But it's like every day it's like, oh, there's more weed sort of enemies that pop up, and you just got to go and plant them and stuff, and get rid of the enemies there. And then we don't get the other DS Chibi Robo game, which is a direct sequel to the GameCube game, where it's like the daughter, that is like in the original game, there's the daughter who like only speaks in ribbits for a while, and like I think she's like cursed or something, and you gotta undo her curse, and then eventually she starts talking regularly again. She's now an adult, has like her own kids, and it's like called Chibi Robo Happy something or other. That stayed a DS Japan exclusive, unfortunately, because man, it is literally the same gameplay style, same collecting and everything as the original, which I'm like, oh, come on. And then Nintendo did the Wii Play Control series, which was like porting a bunch of GameCube games over to the Wii system. So we got the Pikmin games, we got the Donkey Kong games, Mario Golf, I believe. And and Chibi Robo. However, Chibi Robo was the only one that stayed in Japan. We never got it ported over in the US, so probably because the sales were dismal from the last 2 games. So I'm like, oh man, of anything, this would have been the perfect time to like try to get it to a new audience, but whatever. And then the 3DS comes along, and the first one you get is Chibi Robo Photo Finder, I think is the call. It's not so much a Chibi Robo game. Like, there is some exploration in it, but it's mostly just using the AR to find real world objects and taking pictures of them, and collecting them and stuff. It was a really odd little game. It was free. And yeah, and then we get Ziplash, which, yeah, it's not a bad Chibi Robo. It's not a bad platformer. It's just a bad Chibi Robo game, because it's literally just a side scroller, that you can use your plug to like zip up to higher levels. That's it. There's no enemies from any of like the previous games. They're all these weird little robot things that all look the same. Every now and then you'll like run across like a piece of trash that you can collect, and if you collect it before you meet up with like a toy, they'll like ask you, hey, do you have like this thing, and you can trade it and you just get points, you know. So it's like, yeah, and that was it. We haven't gotten anything since Ziplash. And like back when Ziplash announced, they were doing like the same thing. They were doing this for like every franchise, because they did this with Fire Emblem Awakening, and like everybody bought it. One, because Nintendo said we might not make any more Fire Emblem games after Awakening, because, you know, the sales were, you know, dismal. But two, it wasn't a really popular series until Awakening came out for some reasons. Mainly one was they made an easy mode for that. A lot more people were able to get into, knowing that your characters weren't gonna, permanently die. Anyway, so they did this with like pretty much every franchise that wasn't Mario or Zelda or Animal Crossing during the 3DS and Wii U, where it's just like, yeah, this game came out, we don't know if we're gonna do another one. So like they did that with Star Fox, and they did that with Chibi Robo. The only reason Pikmin was safe is because like Pikmin is like Shigeru Miyamoto's like baby, so he's just like, no, I'm always gonna make Pikmin games just because I love the franchise. And then 4 came out and became like the best-selling Pikmin game ever. So I'm like, I don't think we ever have to worry about us waiting another decade for a Pikmin game. Hopefully. But yeah, they're doing the same thing with Chibi Robo, where it's just like, well, if Ziplash doesn't do well, that's probably not... that's probably going to be the last time we do it. And by that time, we were all kind of sick and tired of Nintendo saying that. So, like... not a lot of people bought it. I didn't buy it when it launched. Because I was like so excited. I saw the trailer, and then I saw the gameplay. I was like, oh. And this was a thing Nintendo was also doing during the 3DS line. It was like pretty much every game was a side-scrolling game. Like even the Pikmin game was a side-scrolling game on 3DS. We were just like, oh my goodness, really? Another side-scrolling game? We are sick and tired of these, Nintendo. Please stop. And so, and it was funny. It was interesting because I think that's like the only way you could get the Chibi Robo amiibo too, because I think they packaged it with the game. I could be wrong on that, but I was like, but that game went on clearance fast. I remember like, maybe 6 months to like a year later, I picked up that thing for like $15 at GameStop. And for $15, it wasn't bad. Definitely wasn't paying, was it 40, 45, however much they wanted for it. It was definitely not worth that. So yeah, Chibi Robo hasn't gotten any game, any representation on the Switch. Of course, it doesn't have like the Nintendo Switch Online doesn't have GameCube or DS or 3DS compatibility, or even has like, NSO for it. So we probably won't ever, unfortunately. Now there are like, because Chibi Robo has like inspired so many people, there's a bunch of like indie games that are like, hey, we made our own Chibi Robo game. including this game that I'm really looking forward to called Misk. That's just like, oh wow, you like took Chibi Robo and turned into like a 3D platformer collectathon, but still had all the other stuff like getting costumes and collecting trash and everything like that. So I'm just like, if we never get a Chibi Robo game, at least we'll get this. Kid Icarus, kind of a weird thing. Like, I believe Kid Icarus sold really well for a 3DS. I'll have to look that back up. I think it did pretty well. I know it did well, really well, critically wise. And, it's just a all around really good, fun game. And the original came out, on the NES. We got this weird little, like, Kid Icarus, was it Mazes and Monsters Game Boy game. And yeah, so, it got, big. He got big because of his redesign for Super Smash Brothers Brawl. And then, couple years after that, 3DS, or a couple years, soon after the 3DS release, that was like one of the big game announcements. Everybody was losing their mind, including myself. He has kind of, the creator has kind of on his YouTube channel kind of maybe teased or hinted that I don't know if he's teasing or he's just hoping, Sakurai's hoping that we'll get it, the at least the 3DS game ported over. That would be nice. That would be, especially because, people are having some difficulties with the controls because, they made a whole extra attachment through the 3DS just to really play this game. Because the 3DS did not have 2 control sticks until later on, and then we get into that sort of thing. So yeah, I am counting ports and remakes as a game on the Switch. So yeah, this is one I'm just like, maybe. Because Sakurai's got some, he can, if he wants something done, I'm pretty sure Nintendo's just like, yeah, that's fine. So I wouldn't even be like that shocked if, like, either this summer or this fall, they're just like, Kid Icarus is coming out for the Switch and the Switch 2 or something like that. I'd just be like, yeah, most of us would see this coming. All right, moving on. Wario Land, Wario World. We have gotten 2 WarioWare games, and nothing from the Wario World. And I'm not counting games that are on Nintendo Switch Online. I'm counting like they are actually on a like cartridge, or you can like, it's like a new game, or if they had done like how would I put this? A new game, like a sequel or like a remake of one of the originals, I'm counting that. I'm not counting games showing up on the Nintendo Switch Online because that's just, a library that will eventually go away. I'm talking about something that you can purchase and eventually, keep, depending on how you purchased it. But nothing like, we don't have the virtual console anymore, but even if we did, I wouldn't count virtual console games. I would just count, for example, Metroid Prime Remastered. That is Metroid Prime 1 from the GameCube, but remastered. So it's basically kind of not a whole new game. It is still the same story and everything, but it is a new purchase. It is not just Metroid Prime 1 on the Nintendo Switch Online. I hope that makes sense. So back to what I was talking about, Wario World / Wario Land. So the first time Wario World showed up was Super Mario Land 3 Wario World. It's kind of Mario's always kind of this interesting thing where it will introduce a series and then that series eventually becomes like a spin-off and gets its own series of games. So like Super Mario World 2 was Yoshi's Island, and then Yoshi's Island became its own series. So Super Mario Land 3 introduced Wario World, and now we've gotten 5, maybe 6 if you count Master Disguise. Wario World games, because yeah, there's the 1 through 3 on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. 4 came out for the Game Boy Advance. I don't know where Master's Disguise comes in play there, but it's somewhere in there. And then we got Shake It for the Wii. And that was the last time we got a Wario, way back on the Wii. And so it's obviously still a character and franchise that they like using, because I mean, again, we've gotten two WarioWare games, so they still like keeping the character around, and we even got a WarioWare game. I mean, Wario showed up on the freaking Wii U, but again, so did Star Fox. So who knows? And then the other one is, well, I guess I've been saying Wario World. I'm sorry, Wario Land. That's the main series, and then Wario World was the 3D beat 'em up game on the GameCube. We haven't really gotten another one of those, but I still kind of count it in the same Wario. Just really a Wario platforming game, just in general. He's really just been more of the party game, mini game kind of guy, off and on for most of it. But you know, he started off as a platformer, and he continued that throughout the GameCube and the Wii. So I'm with. You know, for a while I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get it, even though we're getting WarioWare games, but then we're also getting new Rhythm Heaven, so I'm just like, well, you know, maybe. Alright, so now we're getting into more stuff. I'm like, I really don't know if we're gonna get it. The Excite series, so Excite Bike for the NES, then you got Excite Bike 64, think it skipped all of the GameCube, but then we got Excite Trucks and Excite Bots for the Wii, and man, Excite Bots is like one of my favorite Wii games. It is such a weird little game, but it's so fun. And then yeah, we haven't really gotten Excite really. I mean, we've gotten, you know, there's tracks on the Nintendo World Championship. There's the track on the Mario Kart 8, but we haven't gotten not a new Excite Bike, not Excite Bots 2, which is interesting because, I mean, we got a lot of racing franchises and series come back. Heck, we even got a cruising game, which I know that started off as like an arcade game, but then, you know, made its way to the Switch. But I'm just like, you know, if you guys are into the kart racing series, I mean, why not throw Excite a bone of some sort? I wouldn't even mind, you know, some sort of like semi-open world type of motocross kind of thing there, like how kind of like how they're doing with Mario Kart World. It's something in that vein would be kind of interesting. Picross, all right, this is a weird one. So we do have the Picross S series, and for a while I did count that as the Picross being available on the Switch, but apparently I think that's made by a different company than like the people that made like Mario Picross and Picross 3D and you know, the ones that came out for the 3DS. So I took it off. So that's kind of up in the air. Technically, we have like gotten Picross games, new Picross games on the Switch, but I don't think we've gotten a Nintendo published Picross game. And I wouldn't mind either if it was like Picross 3D or, you know, a successor to Mario's Picross series. I just really like Picross, and I would love, you know, just for a new one. Punch Out, I believe there was like an interview recently where they were like asking, you know, the company that did Punch Out for the Wii and just that series in general, and they're like, hey, are you gonna do a new one? And they're like, well, thing is, we, you know, can't really do one nowadays because it's all stereotypes. I'm just like, I get it, you can't do like stereotypical characters, but I mean, like, even like in Super Punch Out, we got less like stereotypical characters and was just more like boxers, like just in general. Like we just want another Nintendo boxing game. So like put more like King Hippo type of like, you know, original non-stereotypical characters. And I mean, even in Punch Out for the Wii, we got, you know, you could fight Doc and Donkey Kong. So I'm just like, why not just? And we've gotten the boxing, like the Fit games, which have like their own little world, because it was a Miku and what was it? Is it JoJo? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure have gotten like series on there. It's like, okay, so like there's still an audience for, you know, boxing games. So like, why not have like a Punch Out, like Mario's Punch Out, where it's just like you boxing, you know, Bowser and Koopas, you like, you know, Peach, Luigi, really all of them, like Mario, like have them all. Like there, you can even like, you know, add the Mii's back in to that, because I'm like, we don't want like, you know, I mean, I'm okay with them, you know, we have, you know, Mr. Dream, stuff like that. It'd be cool just to have something like that again. We don't care. I mean, you know, even the first game we had some like non-stereotypical characters, like it's like Last Joe. A couple other ones. So it's like, yeah, just leave out the really, really stereotypical ones and just make a bunch of original characters. Or use Mario, I don't know, Zelda Punch Out would be kind of cool. The Legend of Punch Out. Yeah, that'd be cool. Wave Race, I doubt we're ever going to get another Wave Race, because Wave Race was always like that franchise to like show off the graphical capability of water, but now we've kind of gotten past that. Like, yeah, Wave Race 64 was like, look how cool the N64 can do water physics. And then Wave Race Blue Storm for the GameCube was like, the GameCube can do water physics even better. And then the Wii was just, you know, GameCube, well, on steroids. But after that, we're like, we don't really care about water physics. We know how water physics works. A lot of video games use water physics now, so it's just like, it's kind of a moot point. So, and yeah, I don't think we're, if anything, it'll be like how there was the, I think it was the Wii, not Wii Sports, Wii Sports Resort, had like one of the mini games was you could be on like the I want to say jet skis, but that's not what it's called. Power cruising, I think, is what they called it in Wii Sports Resort. So we don't have anything. So if anything, it would be something like that. But I don't think we're gonna have our own like Wave Race type of game ever again. Pilot Wings, however, I am kind of surprised that we haven't gotten a new Pilot Wings, because Pilot Wings was kind of the same way as Wave Race, just kind of like showing off stuff. But like the newest one for the 3DS, that was kind of its own little creature there, and it was because a lot of people liked Woohoo Island. So I mean, Woohoo Island in HD, please. I mean that. And just have it be, I mean, you don't even have to, you know, it could be considered part of the Wii Sports series, or it could just be like something in the Pilot Wing series, or just a mixture of both, where you could have, you know, mini games where you're like running around, bowling and stuff, but then you've also got, you know, the airplane and the parachuting and the jetpack and stuff like that. I think that'd actually be pretty cool. I'm honestly kind of surprised that back when they were doing all the Nintendo Labos, one of them wasn't Pilot Wings. Like, that would have been kind of cool. Like, you can make, you know, like a little controller for an airplane. You could like do something on the backpack, like how they did with the robot one, but it'd be the jetpack there. Like Nintendo Labo Pilot Wings, I think, was a missed opportunity there. Art Academy, yeah, I think we'll eventually get another Art Academy. I think it's just, you know, we really only do them with touchscreen games, but both the Switch and Switch 2 are touchscreen games. Granted, neither one comes with a stylus, which, the DS, 3DS, and Wii U did come with styluses. I think it's been forever since I played the Wii U, but I could have swore it came with a stylus or something along those lines. But even then, you can just, there's been games on the Switch that come packed with their own little stylus plug-in thing, so it'd be not that hard to pack in a stylus for a Switch game. But yeah, Art Academy, I think we'll eventually get another one. I think it really will be kind of one of those last we just need something out for the holiday season type of games. They're probably a budget title, probably a tie-in for something. Like, I can see it being like the Art Academy Legend of Zelda for, coinciding with the 2027 movie. Now, if you say that we're not getting Switch games in 2027, I'm just like, I think we're going to get Switch games for a little while. Because, Nintendo has been pretty well known of stop making games for one system once the next system comes out. But they kind of stopped doing that around the 3DS time, because they wasn't sure how big the Switch was going to do. So, like, we didn't stop getting 3DS games till like 2019. I think, with people talking about the price for this Switch 2 and the Switch 2 games, I think Nintendo may keep the Switch around as like their budget console, and keep releasing like budget games for it. And Art Academy would be a really budget friendly game. Dr. Mario? Alright, so this was another franchise that I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten one on yet. Like, Dr. Mario's pretty much had a game on each console since, like, I know it started on the NES, but it's had a game on every console since the NES, because we got, the original on the NES. We got Tetris and Dr. Mario on the Super Nintendo, which was an updated version. It's an updated graphics. Then we got Dr. Mario 64. It didn't come out over in the US, but we did get something called Nintendo Puzzle Challenge, which was a new Dr. Mario, a new Yoshi's Cookie, and a Panel to Pawn game. And I was like, it's not a new puzzle challenge, it's a new puzzle collection. So that it did come out on the GameCube. We got Dr. Mario on the Wii. We got it on the Wii U as Dr. Luigi. And then we got it on the 3DS. So we got a Dr. Mario game back in 2019 for Android and iOS. Now, it has since been removed, and I was always like, when that happened, I was like, I bet they're removing it to put it on the Switch. Like, I can just, see that happen to them, or them doing like a Dr. Mario 99 or something like that. And that was back in 2019, so we haven't heard anything from that since. So this is another one where it's like, yeah, it'll be a budget title type of thing that they'll release for like the Switch. They'll probably do like a simultaneous release on Switch and Switch 2 type of thing there. But I have high hopes that I think we'll see that again. Golden Sun. Ooh, I don't know. Because I know, Dark Dawn did not sell well on the DS. But to be fair, I don't think anybody was asking or clamoring for a Golden Sun during the DS. It wasn't until like probably in the last 5 or 6 years that more people have been, into that series and been asking for another game. They did release 1 and 2 on the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online, so like anything is possible now. But I bet if Dark Dawn had done better, I'm pretty sure we would have had another one by now. But yeah, I'm not quite sure if that one would happen again or not. If anything, I can see them doing like a HD 2D remake of the first game. We've got Fossil Fighters. So I'm not the biggest fan fan of falsifiers. Not saying that I don't like it. It's never been a franchise I've really been interested in. So we've gotten like a couple games. It started on the DS, and then we got, 2 more games. So we got a sequel in 2010, and then we got the 3DS game in 2014. So it's been over a decade. Japan 2014, US 2015. So it's been almost exactly a decade since we got the last Falsifiers game. So yeah, I don't know what the consensus is on that one. Starfy is another weird little thing. I believe one of their games is on the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online. We've only ever gotten like officially one game here in the US, and that was the one for the DS. But by then, that was like technically like Starfy 5 or 6, I think. Like Starfy, for some odd reason, has like never come over to the US until that game. Like, yeah, it started back on the Game Boy Advance, early in the Game Boy Advance. Like, it came out in 2002, and yeah, we got basically a Starfy game every year between 2002 and 2004. We got another game in 2006, and then we got the last one in 2009. So, your guess is as good as mine on whether we're ever going to get another game from that series or not. So, yeah, that is pretty much it. Again, as I said at the beginning, if I missed a game, I'm sorry. There's just so many Nintendo franchises. I only know about so many of them. And if the game only had, 2 games, I'm not counting it as a franchise. It just has the 2 games. So, like, as I said, stuff like Star Tropics and, like, Karuin, I don't count them because they only got the 2 games. But you never know. It's Nintendo. Nintendo's a weird little company. They could, tomorrow say, by the way, here's FZero SX or something like that. Now, I am counting FZero as technically being on the Switch because we did get FZero 99. Now, but at the same time, I'm not counting it. It's a weird one. It's like in the little gray zone because I was like, technically, we get a new game with 99. Some people count that as a new game. Some people don't. I get both. I get both arguments. So I'm just like, technically, we did get a new one, but we don't have like a new solid one that you can go out and buy because FZero's 99 is free, but it's not like a game that was something that was available in the past either. So man, that one, and with as popular as FZero has been gotten over the years, and especially helped with FZero 99, and the fact that it's like when they showed off the Nintendo Switch online for Switch 2 getting GameCube, and literally one of the games you can play at launch is FZero GX. I think we're going to get a new FZero sooner than later. If anything, probably not this year because we've already gotten like 2 kart racers for the Switch 2. That might be a thing that they wait for like year 2, maybe year 3. I think it's already in the pipeline, and they're just like feeding us little bits and pieces of it over time. But yeah, so those are just my thoughts on just franchises that just have not, as of 2025, April 2025, shown up on the Switch. Let me know what your thoughts. What is like the Nintendo franchise or just a Nintendo game that you hope shows up on the Switch? I want a new Chibi Robo. That is my end all be all. Unless we get Cubivore. Cubivore is like a weird little game Nintendo didn't even want to publish. So they had Atlas publish it. But yeah, and keep watching these videos. I'm doing a countdown to Switch 2 release, which is June 5th. And just kind of gushing over my love for my favorite console, which is the Switch. Until then, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.